Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to blend in the inside after you have built up a few layers. So right now this is where I'm at with mine. And so I'm liking how it's looking so far. It's a little messy in some areas on the outside, but I can go back later and clean those up. But overall it looks good. I did come across a little issue with having some extra space in between two of my swirls, but not enough space to where I could do another full swirl. So I just added some little tapered coils to kind of give them an extra layer here and there so that they ended up touching. So if you come across any issues like that, just let me know, and I can help you figure out a creative way to kind of solve that. And so now what I'm going to do is I want to start smoothing out the inside because I've got about maybe 3 inches on this now. So what you're going to do is take your wooden modeling tool and you want to use the curved side, and you're just going to start to kind of blend all those coils together, very similar to how we were blending our smooth coil pot or coil vase. And so you always want to make sure that you're using your hand behind what you're working on. So I'm right-handed, so I'm using my right hand to kind of blend everything together, and I'm using my left hand as support behind my vase so that I don't end up pressing so hard and keep moving this out because I've got the form kind of how I want it. And so if you have any shapes that are kind of like this, where you're putting little individual shapes on, you can blend those together from side to side. And then if you have any spaces, you just want to be careful that when you're blending, if you have any holes or anything, that you're not covering up those holes. So you got to be careful around there. But I'm going to blend across so that these are staying together, and I'm not using a lot of pressure while I'm doing this. I'm just going over it several times. So that's why you don't want to wait till the end to do this, because you don't want it to end up to where, your clay at the bottom has dried so much that it's too hard to actually blend it all together. So that's why you want to, every few inches of height that you get, you want to kind of blend all these together and work your way up, so then you don't have to do it all at the end, and so that it's soft enough to where it can blend nice and easily. And so the inside of this, as long as it's relatively smooth and you don't have any weird kind of clay pieces sticking up, you can keep it to where it's got a few marks and stuff on it. It doesn't have to look absolutely perfect. The smoother you get it, of course, the nicer it's going to look on the inside. But if the inside of yours isn't really going to be seen very well, then it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. But if you have a lot of gaps in yours, I would say you want to try to spend that time making it look really nice and smooth. And so what this is doing is it's just blending all the coils together on the inside, making the connections stronger. And again, you do have to be careful with this because you don't want to mess up any of how the design looks like, how the design looks on the outside. So I'm going to go back through, make sure all of these swirls are connected to each other so they don't start separating. So you'll notice you might have to go across, up and down when blending. And then what you're going to also notice is that you're going to feel how much stronger your coil pot is going to feel. It's not going to feel as kind of weak because you've blended all of these things together. It may still move around. You can see mine, I'm sure, moving around a lot. That's because it's still soft, which is what we want. But we've got something that looks like that. Again, it's not the prettiest on the inside. It's pretty smooth. If yours is something that's going to be seen from the inside, if you're making something that's really open, I would definitely take your time to go through with your finger, smooth that out. I want to get this one right at the bottom. And this is what's really going to keep your coil pot stuck together. And it really does look nice if you take the time to really smooth everything out on the inside. But like I said, if it looks nice on the outside and you can't really see the inside, I'm okay with you leaving it to where it's not perfectly smooth. The one thing you want to look out for is you don't want to have any like big pieces of clay, kind of chunks of clay stuck on there. You want it to be relatively smooth so that if you run your finger over, maybe it's a little bumpy on the inside, but nothing to where there's flakes of clay coming off. So that looks pretty good. I'll maybe spend a little bit more time smoothing some of the more rough areas out, like something like this. But overall, I think that looks good. Pretty happy with that. You always want to double check the outside, make sure your form is still correct. And that's when you'd probably want to grab your template and make sure it's following the form of your template. And then you can go on to your next layer.